here we're kind of fostering a different kind of creativity and really trying to support that in our own community. And so if you are able to make a donation, we would greatly appreciate it. But most of all, I'm so happy that you're here celebrating the work and life of an author that lives here in Roxbury. We're always glad to be able to do that. And I wanted to introduce Dave Carley, the co-founder of Friends of Freddy, for bringing him right here today. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're also, I'm testing out the mics too here. Stand back with it. I'm here in Roxbury today with a bunch of friends. We are the Friends of Freddy, and we meet every other year to celebrate Walter Brooks and his wonderful series of books. And as I guess virtually everybody here knows, Walter Brooks lived just down the street and wrote his famous series of Freddy the Pig books just down the street. And it's a really popular series. I can tell you how popular it is. And when I was a boy in my hometown, we were put on a quota system for Freddy books. And in my hometown, the quota was you were only allowed 2 books a week, 2 Freddy books a week. And so every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, there would be a lineup at the side of the library of mostly boys. There were some girls wanting to get into the library, waiting for the doors to be unlocked, and run upstairs to the children's section and get their share of Hardy Boy books. Whoa, there's okay, we'll help with Freddy books. Freddy, yes. And anyway, there was the stickler in all this was that there was a big mean boy who would stand in front of the doors and hold back all the other boys and girls and throw punches if he needed, while his scrawny little brother, who was scrawny but very fast, would run up the side stairs. He had to run up about 3 flights of stairs and grab all the best Freddy books, and that happened every week. And when we formed the Friends of Freddy, we were soliciting members, and I received a letter from a guy, and he said, well, I'd like to join Friends of Freddy, but I have bad memories of Freddy books, traumatic ones, of being in a lineup in Peterborough, Ontario, and being hit by a big guy while his scrawny little brother ran up and got all the good books. So now it's time for the true confession. I was the scrawny little kid. So I have loved Freddy books for a long time, and I was prepared to participate in some very bad behavior to get them. Luckily, they're all in reprint now, so you can get them. But anyway, what I've done is I have adapted the Clockwork Twin, which is a great book. And what we're going to do for you today is give about a 35-minute play. It's an adaptation, and I always caution people that in an adaptation you have to leave some things out just because of time. So unfortunately, I left out the Charles the Rooster, which has broken many people's hearts, and the Vain Lion, and a few other people. But I think there's enough other characters that I think you'll enjoy yourselves. So I'm going to introduce the cast to you now, and they've come from all over North America. They are all, it's an all-star cast. First, playing the role of Walter Brooks is Michael Carton. He's from Indiana. Hey! And making her debut as Georgie the Little Brown Dog is Margie Deska, and she comes to us from Delaware. Tim Deska Khan also comes from Delaware, and he's playing 2 roles, Jinx the Cat and the fairly grouchy Osprey. So we have 2 singers, and they've come a long way. They've come from Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta, David Hawes and Susan Lynch. I'm not sure if Edmonton's further away than California, but I think California is further. So Rick Hill, who's going to play Mr. Bean and the Criminal, is from California. We have Edward Horan is from Hoboken, New Jersey, and he's playing Adoniram Smith. Adoniram R. Smith, that is very important. And playing Byram R. Jones in the Jones R is very important again, is Thomas Moran, who is also we have some local talent, and we're very, very pleased that they are taking part. Lucy Kelly is playing Mrs. Wiggins. You can probably guess from that what Mrs. Wiggins is. And also Jill Ribbick is playing Mrs. Winfield Church. She's also Fred McCormick, are you from Rhode Island or Cape Cod? Cape Cod. Fred is here and he is playing Freddy. And finally we have Kevin Parker, who's playing Ronald the Rooster, and Uncle Ben the Inventor, and Ronald. Kevin is playing Ronald. So that's the cast, and sit back and enjoy it. This is the world premiere of The Clockwork Twin by Walter Brooks.
Good afternoon, boys and girls, and older boys and girls. My name is Walter R. Brooks. I live here in Roxbury, just up Main Street in a yellow house. That's where I write my books, on my typewriter. A typewriter is a computer with personality. I tap away sometimes late at night. In fact, if you're awake really late, open your bedroom window and stick your head out. You might hear tap, tap, tap. That's me down on Main writing another book in the Freddy the Pig series. This afternoon we're going to tell you one of the stories from that series, The Clockwork Twin. About 75 years ago, a boy named Adoniram R. Smith, why, he was exactly your age. Adoniram was living on a farm beside a river just north of here. He was an orphan. That means he didn't have a mom or dad. A man and woman named Smith were taking care of him, and that's how he got his last name. But nobody knew how he got the first name Adoniram, or what his middle initial R stood for. Now I have to tell you two things, both pretty bad. Number one, the Smiths, now remember they weren't Adoniram's real parents, they weren't very nice to him. They made Adoniram work on the farm all day and they didn't feed him very good food. All vegetables. No candy, no ice cream, no dessert, totally irresponsible. It's a medical fact that a kid who doesn't get candy turns into a worrier. And something else was happening that was really bad. It was spring, and the river alongside their farm was starting to rise. One day, Adoniram went too close to the river. He was standing on a little boathouse at the water's edge, and suddenly, the whole riverbank gave way, boathouse and all, with Adoniram on it. Swept down the river, south towards the great city. Adoniram and the dog named Georgie that Adoniram pulled out of the water, and Ronald, the English rooster who came floating by. Oh, and get this, the first thing that Georgie the dog told Adoniram R. Smith after he pulled him from the river?
Adoniram, you are a dead ringer for my old master, a boy named Byron R. Jones.
That's strange. My middle initial was R too.
Adoniram, Georgie, and Ronald floated south on the boathouse. When they reached New York, the river became confused and swirled them right into Manhattan. The boathouse floated up Fifth Avenue in the direction of Central Park, but then it got stuck just outside the second floor window of Waterman and Dinkelstein, the famous department store.
poetry, Freddy.
Jinx, you're right. It is great.
Pulitzer Prize winning.
Yes, Jinx. You're right about that too.
If they had Pulitzers for poetic porters.
Who's there?
Who are you?
Admiral R. Smith.
What's the R stand for?
That's private.
Well, I'm Jinx Bean. This is Freddy, detective, banker, pig, and poet.
I'm Georgie, a dog. I used to belong to a boy named Byron R. Jones, but now I belong to Adoniram R. Smith.
Who's the scrawny chicken with the sniffles?
My name is Ronald. I'm an English extraction. I said to your chap, I'm not a chicken, I'm a rooster.
Prize rooster, huh? Well, I bet you taste the same as a prize chicken when you're roasted.
Hardly cricket, sir.
Don't mind Jinx. He talks tough when he's nervous. Tell us where you're from.
Adoniram told them all about the terrible farm he'd left and how they'd been washed down to New York City. And then Freddy told him that he and Jinx were taking a trip south when they too got caught in the flood and took refuge on the furniture floor of the Waterman and Nickelstein department store.
Are you guys hungry?
You bet.
Indeed.
Let's go visit the grocery department. There's lots of stuff in cans, and we can't get them open. And an iron. You've got hands. Thumbs. Oh, what I wouldn't give for thumbs. And you can open sodas for us too. And then after that, let's go up to the toy department and play all the games.
But they're not our game.
This is a once-in-a-century flood. We could be here for years, so let's have some fun.
Well, we sleep.
You can camp out with us here on the furniture floor. Jinx and I have huge beds and all the cushions that we want.
And there they stayed, among all the toys you can imagine. Adoniram found the sporting goods department with bicycles. They rode around the aisles, and there was a bookstore, a bakery. Alas, the candy department was on the ground floor under 6 feet of water. Probably just as well. Adoniram had never been given candy by the Smiths, and he would have eaten himself sick, but he might have stopped worrying. Well, they had the time of their lives until something began happening outside.
15 feet high and rising. How high's the water at Adoniram? 20 feet high and cresting. How high's the water at Adoniram? Hudson, 20 feet high and cresting. We stay in the store for many a day. Put on some blankets and the store complains that the flood has ended, so we cannot stay. Now that it's 1 foot high and falling. 1 foot high and falling.
Waterman and Dinkelstein will want to open for business again. So it's time to return to the Bean Farm. Ronald and Georgie, you both lost your homes in the flood. Why don't you come with us?
What about Adoniram?
Our owners, Mr. and Mrs. William Bean, don't have any children, and they'd love to have a boy living on the farm.
I should go back to the Smiths.
You said they made you work all day.
And they yelled at you.
And only fed you vegetables.
How do you know Mr. Bean will want me?
You're worrying again.
But
What did we say about worrying when we floated down the river on the boathouse? All you could do was worry about the awful things that might happen on a flooding river. And I said, why don't you think about the nice things that might happen instead? It doesn't cost anymore. Maybe we'll be carried out to sea and get rescued by a warship. We can live on it, and you'll learn how to run it and become a captain.
yeah, I know, but
Listen, we'll sing a song. It's the Bean Farm marching song. It'll raise our spirits. Jinx and I will teach it to you as we walk north.
2, 3.
Oh, it's over the hill and down the road, and we'll boil the moon for the light. And wherever we go, one thing we know, the road will lead us right.
Within a week, they arrived at the Bean Farm. They got a huge cheering reception, but Adoniram was worried when he saw a small man in overalls with bushy whiskers shoving his way through the cheering animals.
Quiet, quiet, tarnation animals. You're making more noise than a hop picker's picnic.
Don't be afraid. It's Mr. Bean.
Glad to see you back. And who's this?
I'm Georgie, a loyal dog.
Ronald, a prize-winning English rooster. What ho, pip pip.
I'm
But you look hungry, and if there's one thing that Miss Bean won't tolerate, it's a hungry boy. She just made a pan of fudge.
If you read my books, then you already know why the Bean Farm is so famous. The animals talk, for starters. Actually, all animals talk, but the Bean Farm ones were the first to converse with humans. And they have their own bank, the first national animal bank, and a newspaper, the Bean Home News. They've even formed the first animal republic with a flag and a president, a cow named Mrs. Wiggins. So when Freddy heard hammering up in the loft of the barn, he went straight to President Wiggins and asked what the racket was all about.
Oh, that's Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben?
Mr. Bean's uncle. He was a clockmaker, but he's retired and he moved here last week. He talks even less than Mr. Bean. Here he comes.
Why is he running?
Clear down, Miss Danger.
What on earth is that?
Exploding alarm clock.
Uncle Ben has invented a new kind of alarm clock. He says the ones with bells aren't any good because people get used to the bells and don't wake up. So he's invented a clock that sets off a firecracker. Problem is, every time the firecracker in it goes off, it blows the clock to pieces. You have to buy a new clock every day. Only Mrs. Winfield Church can afford that.
Why don't you just put the firecracker on the outside of the clock?
Ah, smart pig.
After Ed and Iron arrived at the Bean Farm, there was a lot of happiness. Mrs. Bean was happy because she loved talking with Ed and Iron when Mr. Bean was out working. And Mr. Bean was happy because Mrs. Bean was happy. And Ed and Iron was really happy. He had a farm full of animals to play with. But one thing worried Ed and Iron still. Now remember, he was a worrier.
I want to find Fireman Jones.
We're your family now.
But he might be my brother. Georgie says he looks like me. And just like me, he's got a middle name stuck with an R.
I wish you'd tell us what that R stood for.
Curiosity killed the cat.
I really don't like that expression.
You already asked some of the local birds about Byron. None of them know anyone by that name.
And I was talking to a fox over in Margaretville the other day. You know how they gossip. He'd never heard of Byron.
Are you lonely?
Well, sometimes I'd like to have a buddy I can run with, play ball.
Wait, have idea.
Pardon, sir?
Make boy. Clockwork boy. Twin brother Fred and Iron.
And that's exactly what Uncle Ben did. Now remember, he was an inventor. He holed up in the barn and spent all day hammering and planing and sawing. Oh wait, I'll let the singers tell this part. Clockwork Twin, Ronald.
I say, this is right, baby John.
Ronald sat in a small control booth right in the Clockwork Twin's chest. Uncle Ben carved a little window facing out.
The Clockwork Boy, the Clockwork Boy, Uncle Ben soon fixed the Clockwork Boy. With Ronald on the board, to speak and to show, Uncle Ben crushed the
Singers! Singers! the Bean Farm, but you know what it was not? Quiet.
Have a new clock. Firecrackers, each one louder than last. Bang, 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 boom! Wake the dad.
Tick-tock, the Uncle Ben atomic exploding clock will go off in a minute to blast the cover off the bed and everything that's in it. Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
What was that?
Tick-tock, tick-tock, the Uncle Ben alarm went off to get you up, you slacker. And if you need another blast, there's another big firecracker. Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben.
Singers,
What?
this is the story of the Clockwork Twin.
Your point?
Well, these people didn't come to hear commercials, now shoo.
Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
I still can't help wondering about that other boy. The non-clockwork one. But
He was a great master. We went swimming every day.
how could we find him?
We could put an advertisement in the Bean Home News.
That only reaches this farm and our readers in Centerboro and Roxbury.
And when I was washed away, Byron was much further north than that.
Well, what else do we know about him?
Apart from the fact he looks exactly like Adoniram and his middle name starts with R, he loves to be around water. For sure, he'll be living near a river or canal.
Uncle Ben, we want to get out word all over New York State that we're looking for Byron. How?
Handbills. Byron's picture. Seen this boy?
But we don't have a picture of Byron.
His twin. Looks the same.
Of course. We'll take a picture of Adoniram and use that.
But how should we distribute the flyer?
Rockets. Explode. Satellites. Fighter jets. U.S. Air Force. Cook spiders. Like a pinata. Explode it. Drop them like bombs. Millions of them. Boom! Boom! Boom!
I say, old man, the birds are still migrating north. Why don't we ask all the ones stopping through here to take a flyer and drop it any place they see humans, especially near water?
Excellent idea.
Offer reward. $50.
Even better.
Well, they printed up hundreds of flyers with Adoniram's picture on it and called him Byram. Asked anyone seeing Byram R. Jones to write to the Bean Farm. They gave the flyers to migrating birds. In just one day, Byram's picture was all over upstate New York, from Albany to Buffalo and as far north as Messina. One bold crow even flew into Canada and dropped a flyer into the hands of the Queen, who was on her way to the North Pole to visit Santa Claus. 2 weeks later, the mailman dropped off a package at the Bean Farm.
This is jolly good. Letters from every state of the Union.
Mexico. Brazil.
This one's from the Queen. She says she saw Byron outside her palace. She says, send me the $50 reward or I'll cut off your head. Did you ever meet the Queen, Ron?
No, I came to America as an egg.
If you came here as an egg, how come you have an English accent?
Well, sir, I was an English egg, wasn't I? If you're an English egg, you hatch with an English accent.
Most of these letters come from towns all along the canal. Batavia, Lockport, Jordan, Rome.
It's a lot of area to cover.
How far away is it?
Far.
How far is far?
Jinx, if you have to ask, you don't know.
Meaning you don't know.
It's far. We can start tonight. We'll walk from one end of the Erie Canal to the other if we have to.
Actually, there's more than one canal in upstate New York.
I say, what's that noise?
A limousine rumbled into the barnyard. All the animals went running towards it because it was their friend Mrs. Winfield Church from Centerboro. She was one of those wonderful rich people who don't act rich, even though she was covered in tinkling jewels. The animals were so busy admiring her new jewels, they didn't see the scary big hawk circling in the sky above them.
Mrs. Church, what brings you by?
I'm picking up an order for from Uncle Ben for 50 exploding alarm clocks. My chauffeur Riley keeps falling asleep at the wheel. I thought I'd set one off every now and then to keep him awake. My goodness, who's this young man?
Mrs. Winfield Church, Adoniram R. Smith.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Well, likewise. Well, what does the R stand for?
Madam, I can't say.
You don't know your own middle name?
I know it. It's such a silly name, I never tell anyone.
Well, not to worry. That's why I call myself Mrs. Winfield Church. Winfield's my late husband's name. I never use my own first name.
Suddenly, the farmyard was filled with scared squawks from the chickens and the ducks. With a whoosh, a hawk came at them like a bullet. Just before it hit ground, the big raptor braked and landed on a tree branch.
Oh, come on, animals. I'm a friend. Besides, it's Friday, fish day. Tell that Walter Brooks guy that I'm an osprey, not a hawk.
Right, osprey, noted.
I don't eat chickens, even scrawny ones like that.
I'll have you know I'm a prize-winning rooster.
Whatever, Shakespeare.
How did you hear, Osprey?
I live up north, outside of Potsdam, and I'm on my way to visit my old aunt down in the Susquehanna. She's a cranky old bird, but I hear the fishing's good, especially after the floods. And someone told me that the famous bean farm is on the way, so I thought I'd drop in and, hey, what are you doing here, boy?
I live here.
The heck you do. I saw you yesterday fishing up in the canal by Boonville.
No, I've been here all the time.
You calling me a liar?
No, sir, but I haven't told.
Wait, you saw a boy like Adoniram?
No, I saw him. Don't ever question an osprey's eyesight, pig.
But that boy must be Byron. Where did you see him again?
Fishing near Boonville. I've seen him a few times. He's always near water. Why is everyone getting so excited?
We think the boy you saw might be Adoniram's twin brother.
Did you see the flyers missing out with the birds?
I'm not much for reading. My eyes work well long distance, but not so good close up. Literature doesn't help. My dad loved to read, but it completely wrecked his long-range vision. It's a terrible thing if you're an osprey. One day, he thought he saw a juicy trout and dove into the lake. It was a submerged log, and he rest in peace. I've avoided reading ever since.
So where exactly did you see Byron?
Up by the old Black River Canal, runs north from Rome.
We've had letters from that area.
How far away is that?
100 miles north, as the osprey flies.
If we set out tonight, it'll take us 4 or 5 days.
Oh, nonsense. We'll take my car.
Well, thank you, Osprey. And there's a reward if he's fired.
Don't have much use for cash. What am I going to buy? Books? I think not. Wait, there's something else you should know.
What?
Byron isn't alone.
He didn't live with anyone when I was his dog.
Well, he's with a band of criminals now. They may be holding you prisoner. They're really nasty. They've taken over an old logging camp and sit around all day planning how to rob banks.
Well, the rescue party set off in Mrs. Church's car. Freddy, Jinx, Ronald, Adoniram, Mrs. Church, and Georgie. They were scared about having to face a band of criminals, so to keep up their courage, they sang the Bean Marching Song. Singers?
What?
Are you curious? They sang the Bean Marching Song.
Suddenly he wants us to sing again.
Gee, Susan, do you think we're good enough to sing for him?
Sing or you won't get any refreshments after the show.
What kind of refreshments?
Well, there's muffins, juice, fresh coffee.
Oh, it's over the hill and down the road and o'er the moon for the light. And wherever we know, one thing we know, the road will lead us right. If you start from home by any road and follow each hill and bend, what fortune you find
really sing a song when you're in a limousine and there's no danger in sight. It's another thing altogether when you're out of the car in the middle of a forest and the smell of trouble is everywhere. Was Byron living with a band of criminals by choice? Did the criminals have guns?
Osprey said the criminals' camp was a quarter of a mile along the canal from here. I'm going to go down this path and look for clues.
What kind of clues, Freddy?
Important ones, Jinx.
Okay, what kind of important clues?
I won't know that until I find them, will I? Don't forget, I've had detective experience. Wait here.
Do be careful, old man.
And off went Freddy down a path into the forest. It was very brave of him, and just as it always did when he was scared, his tail became completely uncurled. Adoniram, Mrs. Church, and the animals sat around and played I Spy while they waited for Freddy. But then they heard footsteps.
Well, who do we got here?
Good afternoon.
Good
We're
afternoon.
having a picnic.
That's a lousy picnic. I don't see no food, no bacon, no ham, no pork, no pickled pig's feet.
As a matter of fact, we're looking for a boy named Byron. We're told he lives around here.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, those very beauteous diamonds, lady. Ain't you afraid to wear such valuable rocks out here in the wild country?
You didn't answer my question. Do you know where Byron R. Jones is?
Maybe. What does the R stand for?
He didn't tell you?
No, I won't say. He says I'll laugh at him.
So you have seen him.
I didn't say that. But, ma'am, why don't you and your lovely Jules come back to camp and I'll ask my co-workers if they've seen such a boy as you described.
I haven't described him yet. But to help you out, he looks like Adoniram here. But very well, we'll come. Come along, animals.
They followed him into the forest. Have you ever followed a criminal through a dark forest? It's no walk in the park.
No, it's a walk in the forest. Get it? Get it? Well, you're a bunch of dopes.
Here's what following a criminal through the forest sounds like. Your heart is thumping.
So, jewel-encrusted lady, is there a reward for this Byron R. Jones?
I'll pay a reasonable amount for any information you can give me about where he is.
A reasonable amount, like that necklace and that there brooch.
I said reasonable, not my jewelry.
You're not too smart, lady.
Oh, this isn't working. Come on, Adoniram. We're going home.
Not so fast, lady. I got partners behind all them trees. He's there to protect you, but it would be dangerous for you to walk back through that forest with all that jewelry around that there. I suggest that you give all that to me for safekeeping.
Turn that Byron R. Jones over to me, and you shall have it. Deal or no deal?
Deal. Hey, send in the boy.
Byron, Georgie, it must be...
He looks just like you.
Who are you? Adoniram. Thank you for bringing Georgie back. There's more. My middle name starts with an R too. I think we might be brothers.
Actually, we've come to take you back with us.
I'm not going back to an orphanage.
No, to the bean farm.
Hey, where'd the criminal go?
Oh, never mind him. He's got what he wants, the jewelry. Byron, come go with us now, quickly, before they changed your minds. Darn, why can't I stop talking like that?
Because it's fun.
That's right, dog.
These are good people. And Evans.
They hurried back through the woods to Mrs. Church's car. As they ran, Adoniram explained everything to Byron about the flooded river, Georgie getting rescued by him, the Clockwork Twin, and the wonderful life he was living on the bean farm.
It would be really easy to prove we're brothers. Just tell me your middle name. Never, just laugh.
think the criminal has captured him.
Why?
He's making all those references to ham sandwiches.
Oh, say, jelly poor taste.
I saw him locking a pig in one of the cabins. We'll have to rescue it.
We'll surround the camp and charge in.
There's too many of them. They're tough. They have an old shotgun, too.
How the heck did you get involved with bad people like that?
I was fishing at the side of the canal and they grabbed me. I had to work all day long cleaning their cabins. These guys are slobs.
Okay, we need some kind of plan.
The alarm clocks. The trunk of my car is full of Uncle Ben's patented exploding alarm clocks. We can put them to good use. Come on, boys. And animals.
Mr. Brooks, sir, we haven't sung anything for a long time.
You said we could have 4 songs plus instrumentals.
Oh, okay, hum something to give them courage. Well, Mrs. Church, Adoniram, Georgie, and Jinx followed by Ramar Jones back through the forest. They reached the criminals' camp and fanned out. They placed the Uncle Ben exploding alarm clocks all around the camp and set their timers to go off at 1-minute intervals. And then they took a deep, very brave breath and entered the camp. The criminals all stood up menacingly when they saw them.
Why are you back here? You got Byron on Jones. Go away.
We want that pig, you dastardly varlet.
Don't call me no varlet. It's hurtful.
Give us the pig.
Oh, the dang talk's tough now. No dice, lady. Criminals gotta eat too. And we're gonna have a big old side of ham tonight with scalloped potatoes and key lime pie. And for lunch tomorrow, we'll have ham sandwiches.
I think that's only fair to warn you. The FBI had come down that canal in a boat and they've got the camp surrounded.
Ha! Let 'em. We ain't got nothing to hide.
We heard they was gonna clean you out for good this time.
As if we're scared.
I heard them say begin shooting as soon as you see the whites of their eyes.
Whatever. What's that?
Look, everybody! The FBI has opened fire!
Oh, I'm out of here. Run, it's the G-Men. Run, guys.
There's a lock.
Quick, knock it open.
Oh, I thought you'd never get here. They kept talking about pork chops.
Must vamoose before they come back.
You had to give up all your jewelry.
Ah, forget the jewelry. I could get more at the 5 and dime store. What?
Those diamonds and pearls aren't real.
Of course not. Nobody except a jeweler can tell the difference between a diamond costing 5 cents and one that costs $1,000. So why spend the extra? Let's head back.
The Beans welcomed Byron to the farm, but he was still kind of wary. You see, everyone said he looked just like Adoniram, but he didn't see the resemblance. He said there was no real proof that Adoniram was his brother. And, like Adoniram, he refused to reveal what the R stood for. But Freddy knew if both their R's stood for the same name, they had to be brothers.
Just tell us your middle names.
The laughs are hard on the way. Me too.
You could both whisper the name in my ear, and I'd tell you if it was the same name.
Nope. Then you'd know what the name was. You'd laugh at us.
I would not.
I've got it. I figured out a way. By this method, no one will know what those names are but yourselves. And if they're not the same, neither of you will know the others. Both your middle names begin with an R, right?
Yeah.
Adoniram, whisper the second letter in your name to Byron.
Okay.
Is that the same second letter as yours?
Yes.
Now the third letter, Byron, you whisper it to Adoniram.
It's the same. Here's the fourth letter. Yep. That's it. It's the same name. We're brothers.
And now that we got that cleared up, tell us.
Nope. Sorry. That's a secret. Freddy. It's so good to him. He deserves to know. He'll laugh.
No, I won't. I'll never tell anyone. I promise.
Okay.
No, all that. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. No, siree, I'm not laughing. I'm dead serious. No, wait, what? Were your parents thinking? Oh, jeez.
I'm told that Freddy still bursts into laughter some nights. If you open your window wide enough, you can hear it echoing all through the Catskills and clear down to New York. And you know what else? If you listen hard enough, you'll also hear the faint sound of singing coming from over at the Bean Farm. And that's the story of the Clockwork Twin and two boys who became brothers. And I know you're going to ask me afterwards what the R stood for, but the fact is, Freddy stayed true to his promise and never, ever told anybody. To this day, I don't know what it is myself. Maybe you can get out with Freddy, and in the meantime, stick around after the show and have a chat with us. And thank you all for coming.
2, 3.
However they wander, both beasts and men are always glad to get home again.
We all want to thank you for coming and being such a wonderful and spirited audience. I would remind you that we are members of the Friends of Freddy, an international Freddy the Pig fan club, and also fans of Walter R. Brooks, the late great man who gave us the Freddy the Pig books. Indeed, a round of applause for Mr. Brooks. And we'd also remind you that there's an opportunity to support the Roxbury Arts Group with your free will donations. And there are refreshments outside, just as we promised, and also merchandise that the Friends of Freddy are happy to, well, if I can be vulgar, to sell you, to support our wonderful non-profit organization. Once again, thank you so much for coming.
Dave has that is unbelievable.